What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am your host, Junkyard James, and with me, as he always is every Thursday, Cody Marinara. Are you ready, my friend, for the ice apocalypse of 2026?
Um, yes and no. I am. I'm a little nervous. I don't. I hate the fact that in North Carolina it's either snow or ice, maybe both. Uh, we don't get the fun snow that we can enjoy for a little bit. We get either a little bit of snow and a little bit of ice, or we get ice. Um, and I've not had good experiences with ice in the past, so yeah, we'll see what happens. By this time next week, either we're slowly starting to melt and unfreeze ourselves, or um, we have no power and we're doing this from phones. May We'll see. It's gonna be and it's gonna be an adventure, regardless. Are are you ready? In the famous words of Triple H.
Um, I'm about as ready as I can be, I guess. The downside of this is it's happening as we're going into the weekend, and we might not be able to watch, or at least I might not be able to watch any of the conference championship football games, depending on if this actually is as severe as all the meteorologists say there is. It's funny in the area where we live in, um, there's like 4 or 5 weather stations, and the majority of them basically have the same model, but there's this one guy, and he's just completely different than everybody else. And so I'm hoping that guy, the one that's like, I'm gonna step out of step out of what everybody else is saying, I hope he's right, because if he's right, we might not lose power. So I hope he's right.
That would be
But
great. I'm surprised. Hate to hate to cut this in, and maybe this will jumpstart us maybe a little bit sooner than maybe you wanted to. But I'm surprised you're gonna be watching football this weekend. To be honest with you,
yeah, well, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we lose power, because uh we'll get to the that stuff here in a moment, but it's going to jump us in to everybody knows, or they should know by now, because I've spent the last couple of Saturday shows talking about it, that I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. And I'm going to be completely honest with you right now. When the hockey team in Buffalo has a better front office than the football team, there's a problem with that. And so what is going on in the good old Buffalo, New York? And the answer to that is nobody knows, because the story changes, it seems like, every day. What we do know is Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And after that defeating loss on Saturday, I was like, maybe, we might Sunday we can watch all of this stuff, and go Texans. And they ended up, CJ Stroud deciding he was a high school quarterback and not an NFL quarterback. And then, whatever, Patriots move on, that's fine. Monday, maybe we'll just have a day where nothing bad happens in football for Buffalo fans. I wake up, I do a side podcast on other topics by myself that I typically record when I have spare time. I recorded an episode Monday morning because I was off of work. I finished recording that episode of that other podcast that I do, and I get the news on my phone that Sean McDermott has been fired. And I'm like, y'all know me. I've been pushing for this guy to be fired. It seems like every year for the past 3 or 4 years. But I thought there was very little reason that he should have gotten fired because of the Denver game. And well, he did. What was the biggest surprise of that day was, well, Brandon Beane, the general manager Well, he got a promotion, even though I feel like if I made the same mistakes he made, I would have gotten fired and not a promotion. But that's a different story for another day. Oh, and yeah, so long story short, it's been a weird 72 hours for Buffalo fans. We're gonna dive in here in a minute, but I got some videos that I want to share of the press conference yesterday. But first, before we get into that, let me ask you your thoughts from an outsider's perspective. You're a Washington fan. You finally got rid of chaotic ownership a couple years ago. What are your thoughts on what's going on in Buffalo?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, in one way, I don't care because it's not my team, so don't bother me none. On the other hand, looking at it from a pure sports fan perspective, and then knowing that obviously one of my very good friends is a Buffalo Bills fan, it's just wild to see what has been going on over the last, like you said, 72 hours. I, I I mean, literally, I don't know if I can really put into words how to compare this situation. I mean, it's wild. It's very hostile. It seems like in Buffalo, your owners not done themselves any favor here over the last few days with his press conference that he did and all that good stuff. Um, now, I listen. I hate to bring this up, but we have to let's make sure the audience understands things a little bit. Um,
Of course we do. I mean, why
I
not?
I listen. We just have to. Okay. Um, so correct me if I am wrong. You were at one point a Washington Redskins fan,
Correct.
and you. I'm gonna be careful with these words because I'm sure people will blast and say that you have been a bandwagon of Buffalo fans, and yeah, even I've joked with you about that. Um, but truth be told, you started following Buffalo before they even got good. Um, and in some ways, I can't truly say that you're a bandwagon because you went from a team that had three Super Bowls to a team with none. That's pretty fair. Um, but you left being a Washington fan because of very bad ownership, correct?
Uh, partially, yeah. Mostly, yeah.
So, and now we haven't. I don't even really want to call it an owner problem. I don't think you really have an ownership problem, but it is kind of ironic how now the owner has been brought to light because of the decisions, because of the words he has spoken about the whole situation. Um, so in a way, it's ironic, kind of funny, but it is very not wired, weird how the situation's not the same.
Hmm.
But it's amazing how a team with so much success over the last 7 8 years has now become a very slightly dysfunctional. Still a very like any head coach that's going to go there, it's probably the best job on the market, maybe besides Baltimore. Um, Based on the quarterback alone.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, it's like you've seen what's been going on with the ownership, what he has said over the last couple of days. Does it make you hesitate just a little bit? Of I don't want the owner twisting my words. I don't want the owner to be kind of blasting me and he fired me and now he's kind of putting the blame on me for not getting over the hump. Essentially,
Yeah.
um, it's interesting. It's an interesting time right now for Buffalo fans. I will say.
Yeah, and I'll put it this way. I see the situation in kind of two different lights. If I took my passionate fan glasses off and I kind of took it from a bird's eye view, one could say that there's a possibility that Sean McDermott got fired. He's the scapegoat now. And what if this promotion is kind of a motivator for Brandon Beane to say, hey, look, we're going to give you more responsibility. But with that additional responsibility, one, there's a shorter leash, and two, the success now, the fact that they've changed the organization structure to where Brandon Beane reports to ownership and then the coach reports to Brandon Beane, instead of prior it was the coach and Brandon Beane report directly to management. That now the onus of the whole success of the team relies on Brandon Beane. Maybe he has a shorter leash, and if the success that they expect doesn't happen within the period of time that maybe they've allotted, he's the next one to go. I could see it in that way. But internally, I thought they brought Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane in like roughly like 2 months apart from each other. And so I thought they were always going to be kind of interconnected at the hip. If one left, the other was going to leave as well. And so it's been an interesting time. And yeah, you mentioned the owner saying some really weird things. I'm going to show a couple. I'm going to show one clip from the press conference. I think that's the biggest clip, and then we'll discuss what's going on here. But first, before I do that, we totally forgot to do some of the housekeeping stuff. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, welcome in. We appreciate you for joining in. Go ahead and scan that QR code in the top left corner of the screen. That's a site to our Discord channel, where we are starting a community of like-minded sports and wrestling fans to continue the conversation when we're not on a live stream. If you're also watching, make sure to like and subscribe. We're on a goal here to get to 100 subscribers sometime this year. We're well on our way there, over the halfway mark of that goal. So the hope is that we can get there by the end of the year. Hit that like button. That'll push this video out in the algorithm. All of our affiliate partners, including W Energy and StubHub and RSS.com and WWE Shop, all those links are in the show notes description box below. Let's get into this video, and I hope they don't copyright this. They shouldn't. They haven't copyrighted any other, and it's like less than a minute, so it should be fine. Of what was said about Keon Coleman. I think this was the biggest part of the press conference. Was let me back up a minute. The past 72 hours for Buffalo Bills press relations was probably the most stressful time. On the poor intern on the social media page was taking their licks, because you announced the firing of Sean McDermott. In the social media post announcing the decision to fire him, you said that he was an admiral. He did an admiral job coaching the Buffalo Bills, and you spelled admirable wrong. You spelled it admiral, like, the Navy sailor. Hence the name of today's video, Admiral Dysfunction and Wrestling Rumors. So you have a misspelling on your Twitter page that obviously you found and corrected on every other social media page, but except the Twitter page. I guess they realize it's already out. Might as well keep it. I don't know. Sean McDermott later that night, Monday night, releases his own statement thanking the city of Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills organization as a whole refuses to share or anything, his comments, for 24 hours. Then they start pushing, thank you, coach. Here's some videos. And they're really well-made videos, but, about a day late. And then you had the dysfunction at the press conference. And this was the biggest clip about Keon Coleman.
Yeah,
Can I interrupt? I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice of his coaching staff, who felt strongly about the player. And, you know, he's taken, for some reason, heat over it and not saying a word about it. But I'm here to tell you the true story.
I'm here to tell you the true story. Sean McDermott was the one that wanted Keon Coleman, apparently. Except maybe they forgot that they made a documentary of draft night of that Keon Coleman pick, where Brandon Beane says the following.
Basically, when I went to bed that night, I was like, it's Keon unless someone just blows us away. We didn't feel anything was attractive enough for us to pass up on Keon.
All things considered. All things considered. Rich, just get the guy who's feels the best fit. Yep.
I know this might be obvious, but so tomorrow, who are we picking?
We're just going to keep trading more. We're going to get 14 fifths. Barring someone offering us something stupid, we'll take Keon Coleman.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Sean McDermott's in that video. He didn't say a damn word.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to backtrack that whole thing, that whole situation, when the guy you're basically blaming it on didn't say a word. And this was years ago, a couple of years ago, so 3 years ago, I think now. So I don't see why they would say, "Hey, cut out anything Sean McDermott said," or "Sean really said this. Let's not air that on the show." I mean, he
Right.
didn't say anything.
Right.
And Brandon Beane never said in those comments, "Hey, Coach, you really feel strongly about this. If you do, we're going to take it." You know, there was none of that. It was Brandon pretty much saying, with no objection, with nothing,
Right.
it's Keon. So bad luck, man. And that's the
Well,
guy that got promoted.
Yep. Well, and even worse look about it is there's a video now, and I couldn't find it in my last minute rush to get some clips for this episode. Of Brandon Beane and some of the other scouts at the combine, where the scouts were a little generally concerned that Keon ran a 4.56 40-yard dash. But Brandon Beane was ecstatic about it because that was a lot slower than they anticipated, and he felt that him running that slow helped his case to be able to draft Keon Coleman. Here's the thing that I have a problem with. One, maybe it was Sean McDermott's pick. Maybe it was Josh Allen's pick to get Keon Coleman, and he was just Brandon Beane. Maybe he was a team player, and he bought into the vision, and maybe there were conversations not shown in the documentary or whatnot that he bought in, and he was going to be the guy to get others to buy in to get Keon Coleman. Maybe that's the case. My problem with this is the man is still on your roster. You still have him for at least another year. Now he has to hear the owner of the company basically say, I didn't want him on the team. Essentially, that's kind of the connotation that it came up. We didn't want him. The coaching staff wanted him, so we gave into the coaching staff's demand. I would feel some kind of way if I was Keon. I would maybe have my agent explore options to get out of Buffalo. And granted, and Keon hasn't performed the way that maybe we expected him to perform. And so there is that push-pull relationship there, but it's not a good look to have ownership, call out publicly in that type of format a key offensive weapon on your team, especially when that general manager has been adamant that his wide receiver room is good enough to win the Super Bowl. Essentially is, and they didn't need to make a move at the trade deadline or in free agency last year. That they were fine where they were at. But the second problem with that is maybe Brandon Beane was being a team player, but he's at the end of the day, he's the one that makes the decisions. He has to live with the roster. And if he felt like, I'll give in that Keon Coleman, but I'm going to take somewhere else, why didn't he give us a weapon to kind of overshadow the risk at Keon Coleman? I don't know. It's a tricky situation, I guess. The second piece, and I couldn't find the full clip of it, was the idea of why Sean McDermott was fired was because Terry Pagula, the owner, walked into the locker room after they lost against the Denver Broncos, and he saw Josh Allen crying and a bunch of other players crying, and he felt like they hit the proverbial playoff wall, and just the vibes were off in the locker room. And so on a whim's notice, he made the decision to fire the head coach. And this is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard anybody say. At what point do you ever fire somebody in the emotion of the moment? There's no factual evidence behind. It wasn't like, well, I told Sean McDermott at the beginning of the year, if we don't win the Super Bowl, you're fired. I think we could justify that. If that was what the case was, no, this was, everybody was sad. So I felt like I needed to have a change of direction. And well, by the way, the players reacted to the news, this is probably going to tear the locker room apart. They later explained in the press conference, they didn't tell the players because Terry Pagula didn't tell Sean McDermott he was being fired until after everybody had left for the day. And so the players found out on social media. And I wonder how it felt seeing your guy, you leave, you clean out your locker for the day. You're not coming back to Buffalo probably until spring. And you see on social media that the guy that's led you for 9 years and 8 playoff runs and 8 playoff wins, the most playoff wins for a team that hasn't made the Super Bowl in an 8-year stretch, he's now gone and they're trying to find somebody else. I don't know. I would be a little irritated as well. Long story short, before we move on to the next piece, this has just been a really good example of how not to manage this type of situation. It's kind of dysfunctional. And they have to win the selection of the next head coach. Because if they whiff on that, like the city of Buffalo is pretty passionate. Before McDermott got there, like Rex Ryan was head coach and they were still selling out that arena. That stadium. You got a new stadium coming next year. They have to ace this pick because you got 54,000 people to buy a PSL and spend at least $1,000 or more on a seat license. And we don't even know what coach is going to run us through the tunnel on week 1 or the first of the home opener. So yeah, crazy things. Last part of our sports talk before we move into some wrestling news. Real quick, we're down to 4 teams. Rams, Seahawks on the NFC side, Patriots, Broncos on the AFC side. What's your Super Bowl pick? And I guess who's going to I guess eventually win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a little consistent from we got a little bracket thing going on and thing on ESPN that us and some of the fellows are in, and I've got the Rams winning it all, so they're still in it. So I'm gonna go over with the Rams. Really tough matchup this week. Obviously facing the Seahawks in Seattle. It's gonna be a crazy game. Um, how about the NFC West, man? It seems like here recently, besides the Eagles, it's either the Eagles or the NFC West that's representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. The Niners, Rams a couple years ago. Seahawks have been to a couple Super Bowls here recently. The Rams have been to the Super Bowl a couple times, and then once in 2018, and obviously they won the Super Bowl in 2021. So, yeah, it's been kind of wild how if it's not the Eagles, it's the NFC West representing the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But I got Rams versus Patriots. Obviously, pretty upsetting news on the Broncos side, losing Bo Nix in an exciting, crazy win over Buffalo. You want to talk about? I mean, no team won that game. Theoretically, realistically, yes, the Broncos won. But imagine being Buffalo. Yes, you guys are very sad, emotional. I get it. How would you feel if the Bills won that game and then 2 hours, an hour later, you get told that Josh Allen broke a bone in his ankle?
Right.
He can't play for the rest of the play. I mean, you want to talk about going from an emotional extreme high to an extreme low in a matter of an hour. I think the Broncos still have a chance. I think Jarrett Stidham is a decent backup. He's a backup for a reason, though. But Sean Payton's like the guy. He wanted him. He was the first free agent he signed. I think there's a reason why he was a backup on the Broncos. Had a whole year to study the playbook, and while he hasn't practiced with the first team, of course now he gets a chance to do that. But I think that it'll be a better game and more competitive game than people think. I do think the Patriots do win, though, and if the Rams do beat Seattle, I think they've got to be the favorite. Now, New England's defense is very good. The Rams' defense is good too, but it's really just a matter of which offense would be able to, at that point, if it is Rams Patriots, it's just a matter of which offense would be able to come through the most. It'd almost be kind of replica of that Super Bowl 2018. It was like a 13-3 game. It might be the same thing. Yeah, I got Rams Patriots, and I got the Rams winning. Just feel like they've got a better offense than the Patriots do. I think it would still be a defensive game if those two teams face off. But yeah, gonna be a crazy weekend. Storylines abound, and it's gonna be interesting to see who will be going to the Super Bowl on Sunday. What about you?
Yeah, first off, I agree with you. I think that Patriots-Broncos game, it isn't going to be the blowout that everybody, I think, automatically assumed that it's going to be, because for two reasons. One, if Jarrett Stidham couldn't play quarterback, he wouldn't be in the league. I truly believe that. There's been backups that truly couldn't make it, and they're no longer in the league. They don't get contracts. He obviously, I think, one, that team wasn't necessarily the greatest offensive juggernaut with Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix torched the Bills defense, but they were more of a running offense and a passing offense down the stretch, and they relied heavily on their defense. And then the second issue that I see is Drake May so far has been able to play teams that, to be completely honest, turn the ball over more than he did. I mean, he's fumbled the ball, I think, 6 times in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Luckily enough, he's only lost, I think, 1 or 2 of them. They've recovered the other 3 or 4, or however many. And so he's been lucky that, like, he's turned the ball over a lot, but the other team that he's playing, well, they've had key injuries, and they turned the ball over even more. And so that Denver defense is top notch. The fact that they gave up 30 against the Bills, I think, is a testament to just how good the Bills were, because they don't give up 30 to a lot of teams. And so I see this being a defensive matchup. I would love it if the Broncos won, but I think at the end of the day, Drake May is the better quarterback, and they probably escape and go to the Super Bowl. I would have loved to see the matchup if Bo Nix could have played, though. That would have been a great matchup. And then on the NFC side, I like the Rams. In our bracket thing, they were my favorite to get to the Super Bowl. I got true story. I got the NFC side 100% correct, and the second round I went 0 for 2 in the AFC side. So my only 2 losses came on the AFC side, and obviously I'm going to lose that tournament because I had the Bills winning the whole thing. I have the Rams going in that bracket, but because my bracket's busted, I'm going to change my opinion here. I think it'll be Patriots Seahawks, that rematch of, was it 2013 Super Bowl? And this time the Seahawks won't pass the ball on the 1-yard line. They'll run it. The Seahawks they're down Zach Charbonnet. He's out for the year with the torn ACL, I believe. So they're going to have to rely on Kenneth Walker and their third back. I can't remember who that is at the moment, but I mean, they got a trio of really good receivers: Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, good tight end, good running game, and then that defense is top notch. In Seattle, I mean, the fact that they only allowed San Francisco to score 6 points, and they blew up. The game was literally over after the opening kickoff. So I don't expect them to beat the Rams by that much, but I think the Seahawks go there, and I think the Seahawks win the Super Bowl this year. They haven't proved any different, that they're not the best team right now. And imagine this, the first quarterback in the Josh Allen draft class to win a Super Bowl may be Sam Darnold. Not Lamar Jackson, not Josh Allen, not Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold.
What an insane stat that would be. Absolutely insane.
All right, let's move into some of the wrestling stuff. We're going to go into everybody's favorite part of the show. That's our mid-card meltdown. Anything in the wrestling world that kind of grinded your gears this week, my friend?
Oh, there's a couple. There is a couple. I think you took one of mine that I was going to do, so I'll let you have it. The other one I was going to do, we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. So I kind of had to go. Good thing there was a few things, so I can go to what was third on my list to really showcase it. And I think this is what was on my mid-card meltdown either last week or 2 weeks ago, when I gave the really, really frustrating talk about giving away world title changes on free television. I think it was last week, to be honest with you. And it's a continuation of it this week, because while we were live streaming last week, it was during the debut episode of Impact on AMC. Mm-hmm. And we went off the air before the main event started. So we didn't know what was going on. And sure enough, in the main event of a weekly television show, debut episode, you had a world title change on free television. And it's like, man, it's almost as if they heard me and said, let's piss this guy off a little bit more. Let's give this mark something to melt down about. And listen, I mean, I guess I get it. It's your first episode of that regime, that era. You'll want to start off with a bang, even though the show was a complete blunder. It sucked. It was horrible. LOL, TNA is back, baby. Better than ever. But I guess you had to end the show the best way you could, and that was to give a world title change. Even though if you're a new fan of TNA and you're like, all right, what's this thing all about? What's this thing that AMC has been promoting for weeks? Okay, this guy and this guy are fighting for the world title. Cool. Oh, we got a world title change. Wow, that's great. Oh, there's a pay-per-view this Saturday. Well, why do I need to tune into the pay-per-view 2 days later, spend my money on it, when I just saw a world title change for free on free television? I can just watch this show almost every week, and I should expect a world title change at least couple times throughout the year, right? I mean, that was as bad of a debut show, but the situation was just as bad because you had a pay-per-view literally 2 days later.
Right.
And it was a rematch. And the only thing that was different was I think it was a street fight maybe, and they had a special guest referee.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, wonderful. I just literally watched this match 2 days before, and I got a world title change on television. Why do I need to spend the $9.99 or however much TNA Plus is? I don't know if they had it on any other streaming service to buy the pay-per-view. If they did, why would I spend any money on this when I just watched a world title change on TV?
Right.
Literally, it was a carbon copy of the Drew and Cody situation. As far as giving away a world title change on weekly episodic television. I still don't understand it. It proved my point even more last week. And not the best way to start off on TNA on AMC, in my opinion.
Yep.
And yeah, that's where I'll go with that.
Week 1, new champion. Week 2, TNA TV. Feast or fired. You're going to fire one of your wrestlers on live TV.
Gimmick after gimmick, baby. I love it.
Apparently, Bully Ray is helping out with some of the production stuff for that. So
that makes sense now.
Yeah, no, I remember after the show I saw the title change and I was like, oh, hey, I see that they did this title change, and you're like, yeah, we probably should have kept the stream going and could have seen my reaction to it. So crazy thing. My mid-card meltdown is directed towards the IWC, Internet Wrestling Community. Listen, let me tell a story first before I go on this rant for a minute. Yesterday, a picture surfaced on social media of beloved AEW wrestler Adam Hangman Page at a Cracker Barrel with no longer beloved, very hated wrestler Marty Scurll. And look, I get it. Marty Scurll, the accusations that he had, they're not great. Social media went completely overboard criticizing Adam Hangman Page on this. And I think this has to be, like, I remember growing up, and it was always taught that people aren't always going to agree with you in every situation, but regardless of that, you can still be cordial with them. You may not have to agree with them. You may not have to like what they're doing, but you can at least, have some common courtesy. I'm very positive that Adam Hangman Page is not a avid supporter of the sexual allegations that Marty Scurll had upon him. Also, these allegations were probably a half decade or more in the past. I believe in second chances. I don't know if Marty Scurll has asked for forgiveness for his problems, the accusations. I don't know if he truly feels sorry for these accusations. And from what I understand, and they're not just accusations. I think maybe he had admitted to some point that he partook in what he was being accused in. But I do believe in showing a little bit of grace and giving a second chance. And obviously, him and Hangman were close as being a part of the Bullet Club. And like I'm not saying give Marty Scurll an AEW contract. Like, that's probably not the smartest thing to do. I'm sure Warner Brothers would not like to have him on TV. But what I am saying is Hangman is allowed to have friends that you don't agree with their perspective on things. They were like, oh man, social media was criticizing Hangman for taking a picture with Marty Scurll. And it's like the overindulgence of, I don't even know what to call it. Like, if the second that you hang out with somebody or associate with somebody that is deemed incorrect in your point of view, you can't support anybody that associates with this person. It's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. It kind of drove me up a wall. Like I don't support Marty Scurll any more than the next guy. I used to like him. I don't think he should be on TV. He probably shouldn't be in wrestling. That doesn't mean Hangman can't be a friend to him. In fact, it could be an opportunity for Hangman to kind of guide him in a better direction and make sure that he makes better life choices than what he had done in his past. So I don't know. That just kind of irritated me a little bit. Moving on to the next piece. I'll show some love to Wavy D here real quick in the comments. Said the debut show of TNA was very mid. If I remember correctly, cagematch.net had it at a 1.7 out of 10. The debut show. The internet, the IWC hated the show, apparently. Any updates on some of the bigger ticket sales for some of these shows? Royal Rumbles in a couple weeks or whatnot. Anything changed since last week, my friend?
I have no update for the Royal Rumble because it's in Saudi Arabia and they're still building the set. I don't even know if that show has even had any tickets on sale. It may be a free event for all I know. I don't. I have no idea. I've not seen one thing on WrestleTix or any of these wrestling sites that update ticket sales as to how that whole thing has gone down. I have no idea. It'll be interesting to see though. But we do have some updates on the ticket side of things. Maybe a little bit elongated, so I'll try to be as descriptive and non-boring and informative as possible. Spend a little extra sauce on this tonight. So the debut show of Impact on AMC last week, Thursday, January the 15th, the Curtis Caldwell Center in Garland, Texas. The final count was 2,830. It was down 792 of the paid tickets for TNA Genesis 2025 at the same arena, January 21st, 2025, which drew a little over 4,000, but they had 3,600 that was paid. So that's the count I go with, not how many people were in the arena. It was how many people paid. Even though whatever. And then 2 days later, TNA ran the Curtis Caldwell Center again in Garland, Texas for their Genesis pay-per-view. The final count for that was bought was 3,946. So they were actually up 324 from Genesis last year, and they were up 1,116 in the same arena 2 days prior for Impact. So I guess that's to be expected. You would want your pay-per-view to be selling better ticket-wise than your weekly show. I'm sure they still wanted their weekly show to have a little bit better attendance, but it was fine. TNA production didn't do themselves any favors by broadcasting a bunch of the empty seats that were on the hard camera side. How about just stick with the side that has people in it, kind of like tonight, which I currently have TNA on right now. And you think that when Dynamite was not doing so great in the 20,000 seat arenas for Dynamite, and they were only drawing a third of the arena, and they, it was dark lit, right? I'm not sure if TNA's in the dark right now. There's like maybe a third of a 3,000 seat arena that's being shown. It's pretty bad. They're at the Tingley Coliseum tonight in Albuquerque, New Mexico. As of 2 days ago, the setup was 2,282. The tickets that were distributed were 998. They hadn't even sold 1,000 tickets as of 2 days ago. The update that was this afternoon at 5 o'clock was 1,352. So they sold a little over maybe 400 tickets, 354 since the last update from 2 days ago. So they probably have about 1,500 in the arena. That's not great. And what's crazy about that is the cheapest ticket 2 days ago was $51.47. $51 to watch that. They lowered the ticket price to $30.83. I guess that's maybe the reason why they moved a lot of tickets. I'm quite sure. And we saw a few people on X show that they didn't pay for their ticket last week at Impact. I'm going to be quite sure that there's a few of those this week as well. It'll be interesting to see what the final count is for that. And if we see more people posting about getting free tickets for this show tonight. Moving on, we will go to AEW next. I try not to do some of the pay-per-views so far out in advance, but I may next week do a little bit more of the pay-per-view side of things, maybe like Elimination Chamber, Revolution that's coming up, things like that. Maybe some updates on WrestleMania as well. We'll see. Last night, AEW was at the Edition Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida. I hadn't got a final count from WrestleTix, but I did get an update that was about an hour before the show. They had set up for almost 4,600, and they had sold 4,227. The last time they were here was World's End. It's pay-per-view. Try not to compare pay-per-views to the weekly shows. Typically, they don't obviously hold up as much. But the last time they were there for a Dynamite was December 27th of 23. They drew 5,729 paid. It's down 1,400, give or take. That Dynamite, I believe, was like a Holiday Bash or something like that, New Year's Smash. It was a special themed episode of Dynamite, probably why it sold more, but it's still a decent number for AEW to have kind of just a regular show, no title matches, just kind of your regular weekly television show. 4,200 or anything over that is kind of decent for them, so that's kind of good for that. Yet another week of no info for on sale dates for All in London. And I did see a few people last week on X starting to bring this up a little bit. Like, guys, you do realize you have a pretty big show happening in August that's got 90,000 seats in it, and we haven't even got an on sale date. What gives? What's going on? Some speculation as to why, what's going on, and maybe the idea is the less time that we give for on sale tickets, the more people are going to feel like they're going to miss out. The FOMO, cause a rush of sales, and to keep that momentum going. Typically, if you have an on sale date in say December for an August show, you get the early surge of on rush. You may get the holiday specials, and then it lulls for a little bit until we get about a month out from the pay-per-view when we start really building to it. So that may be AEW's goal, is to shorten the time span for the ticket on sale date versus the show date to hopefully create that rush and keep the momentum up. That is my goal. That is my guess.
I also wonder, I do believe WWE was in England over the past couple of weeks. So I wonder if they were wanting to wait till after the WWE tour before they put those shows on sale.
That's a good point. However, this throws yet another wrench into the mix of things. It's a cat and mouse game right now because WWE announced that they're going to be running the O2 Arena in London for Raw on June 22nd of this year. 2 months before All in London, and they just announced that a couple days ago, maybe even before Raw or right after Raw. So and there's no on sale date yet for that. It's almost a cat and mouse game of, all right, who's going to put the on sale date for their show first? Obviously, Raw is going to do it because it's in 3 months, 4 months versus 6 months for All in London, so, or 5 months. So WWE has to put tickets on sale first, you would think. So it's yet another, I don't want to call it hey, let's try to steal their thunder. I think in kind of way it is. But it's interesting to see now we've got a real big test for AEW, not just because they have a 5-month big stadium show coming up, but now they've got WWE literally trying to impact even more their ticket sales by running a Raw 2 months before their show. And it's going to leave the fans wondering if they can even pay for both shows or pick and choose. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. A little bit of gamesmanship going on. And then lastly, we have Raw it's going to be in Scotiabank Arena in Toronto this upcoming Monday, the 26th of January. As of 4 days ago on WrestleTix, the distribution was 13,688. Current setup of 15,426. 4 days ago, obviously. Last time they were here was a year ago, almost February 28th, 2025 of SmackDown, and they sold 11,905. So currently, as of now, they're up 1,783, 1,783. I'm sure that number's going to go up. So a really good number for them heading into Monday for Raw. I'm sure that's some good news for them as well, coming off the European tour. So I think the international market's doing a really, really strong ticket sales for WWE currently. And yeah, that is this week's TikTok presented by StubHub. Appreciate their sponsorship. If you guys want to get tickets to the best live event sporting needs with a 100% buyer guarantee, use the link in the description below there to help support us, but also support yourselves by getting tickets to biggest and hottest names in the live sports and entertainment industry.
Absolutely. We're going to transition now into what I'm going to call the wrestling rumor segment of the show, because a lot of this is just a bunch of rumor and innuendo, as the good Conrad Thompson would say. So let's we'll kind of go rapid speed here and not spend a whole lot of time on each of these, but we talked earlier about TNA and then their first week on AMC, and that's a good one. TNA's opening week on TV on AMC, 173,000 average viewers for the show. I think the expectation was somewhere around 185 to 200,000. I think the reports were prior to this, the TNA app was getting about 80,000 viewers on a weekly basis was the estimate. And obviously this does not include anybody that decided to continue watching on the TNA Plus app. So good number, I think, for TNA. But I think it's time to slow the horses on saying that they're the number 2 brand.
Yes.
They're not even the number 3 show on a weekly basis. Collision
They are tied. Yes, exactly. They are in the market of MLW with TNA, and that's a point blank fact. I would say NWA, but I think NWA does a little bit less than TNA does. So I would say that WWE is number 1, clear number 2 is AEW, MLW, and TNA is tied for 3rd. I would even maybe put NWA in there as well, because at least NWA has a TV deal of some sort with Roku. Yeah. Listen, Eric Bischoff last week predicted that this show would have 350 to 400,000 because he used AI for this prediction. Raj Giri, whoever the fuck that is, predicted 260 to 270,000. And he said if TNA did 200,000 or more on AMC, they would be thrilled. That means AMC is not thrilled. Mm-hmm. Bischoff has said that TNA could surpass AEW sooner than later on his podcast recently. Matt Hardy has gone on to say TNA's deal would push AEW for the number 2 wrestling promotion. And Santino Marella claimed TNA would surpass AEW once it secures a major TV deal. In sum, I don't want to hear this bullshit ever again. Shut up. Okay. We're done with this argument. Yep. We're done with it. And if we weren't, AEW Dynamite, and probably the weakest card it's had, and I don't mean that in a wrong way. I just mean it was a genuine regular weekly show. Nothing crazy happening, nothing truly special going on. And still drew 4,300 tickets, and AEW's pay-per-view drew 39. We're done with that argument. TNA is nowhere near number 2. Yeah, we can stop this. The fact that they have to blank out 2/3 of a 3,000 seat arena is all we need to say.
Yep.
That's it. Go to high school gyms, start selling there, because that's where your crowd is going to look the best. You start going to these 3, 4, 5,000 seat arenas, it's only going to be not even 20% full. We can stop. All right, we can stop. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, the only thing TNA apparently is number 2 in is they're number 2 in most expensive tickets, because you said $51.
It was $51, the cheapest ticket for Impact tonight, until they dropped it to $30 2 days ago because they couldn't even draw 1,000 for it.
Yeah. Yeah, wait till the AEW tickets come to town, and they'll give you the buy 4 for $40 package. And
AEW is the best bang for your buck, easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of AEW and TNA, Trey Miguel was I don't know what's going on with him. The Rascals signed apparently last week. They debut on Collision, but it was only Zach Wentz, Desmond Xavier, and Myron Reed. No Trey Miguel. And everyone was like, where is he at? What's going on? And it comes to find out the next day, Trey Miguel removes all of his stuff regarding AEW on his account. Everyone was thinking, uh-oh, what's going on? He posts another post saying he's taking a break from wrestling. Come to find out, it may have been a Jay Briscoe situation where Warner Brothers had discovered some disparaging content. And look, I don't agree with Warner Brothers on this. From several years ago, 2020, where he went on some form of homophobic rant. There has been people within that community that has defended Trey Miguel and said that he's grown past that. Warner Brothers won't put him on TV. AEW has released him from his contract, meaning the Rascals will only consist of Wentz, Dez, and Myron Reed. And earlier this afternoon, it was announced by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, TNA is working on signing Trey Miguel back to TNA. Why they wouldn't bring all 4 of them together, I have no idea. But I guess Trey Miguel wanted to go to AEW. AEW kind of had their hands tied by people above them. And so the next best thing is Trey Miguel going to TNA. Look, Trey Miguel is really good. I hope success for him. I don't know if we have any comments on it, but that's kind of the Trey Miguel story there.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing, and I wonder if the Rascals are going to want to try to see if they can go back to TNA. It would be nice to see them in AEW and see what they can do on a little bit bigger platform. The whole situation is weird and unfortunate at the same time. And like you said, I don't think we should blame Tony Khan for this. That's a WBD decision. However, I would like it if Tony Khan talked to Warner Brothers Discovery,
right,
and have these discussions before signing anybody if he hasn't already. You would like to think he does. But listen, print out everybody's roster on everybody's wrestling page and just thoroughly go through it and just be like, get a list of yes and no's. So that way you have an idea of what talent can appear on your TV. You could sign him and put him ROH, I guess. But at the same time, if you're wanting them to be on AEW, and that's the whole point of it, get clearance. Just know who your bosses are comfortable with putting on their television stations or not. So that way you don't have to run into this issue. This is kind of strike 2 for Tony with this whole situation, with Jay Briscoe being the first, this being the second. I don't mean strike 3, he's out. I just mean that, listen, at some point you got to realize you kind of cater to a bigger boss. You have these television contracts for a reason. Just get their clearance and say, hey, I'm interested in bringing this guy in and maybe sign him to a contract. Is this your guy? Is this okay or not?
No, you're totally right. And it seems to me that there is a disconnect between legal and Tony Khan because
breaking news, Trey Miguel is back in TNA. It just appeared right now.
There we go. Trey Miguel, perfect timing. He is back in TNA.
Yep. Just appeared on their Feast or Fire. Now, it'd be funny as hell if he wins one of these briefcases and it's got a fired briefcase. That'd be hilarious. But yes, Trey Miguel is back right now on TNA as we speak in the Feast or Fire match. Wow. What timing on that? What? You need to post this on the socials and be like, listen, we have breaking news here too.
This is how we do. You were looking like Ian Rappaport on Monday when they fired Sean McDermott. He was literally live on NFL Sunday Morning talking about had to run out and
be like away for a minute.
Back to what I was saying. there seems to be a disconnect between legal and Tony Khan, because this isn't just the second time. This is the second time that someone's not allowed on TV. But even going back to the whole Andrade situation, where Tony Khan wasn't even made aware that it was possible Andrade had a non-compete clause. And Tony Khan was forced to pull Andrade off of TV and then re-debut him once they were able to get that situation fixed. So I think before bringing people in, it's probably better to be safe than sorry, and maybe get the legal check before bringing people in and debuting them or yeah. All right. Speaking of clarity, it was reported earlier this week that if Warner Brothers Discovery does in fact sell their stuff to Netflix, that was agreed in the earlier deal, AEW would not be part of that deal. Their streaming rights with Max, they would be allowed to continue the contract, but at the conclusion of the contract, it basically would not be renewed. Essentially meaning in 2027, 2028, that area of time, the next year or two, AEW streaming platform will need to be somewhere else. And so the question I want to ask real quick is, what happens? Where do they go? What is the end game with AEW streaming?
I think they could just stay if they kind of just stay on their pay-per-view platforms as is now, internationally plus and domestically with Prime. What's the thing you have, Fubo?
Fubo,
I think they do pay-per-views through there. Maybe do a little bit of Triller, IPPV.com. Yeah, I think they kind of stick with that. Maybe they create their own streaming app of their own. I think they have trademarked Watch AEW. And then I think I just saw a little while ago they've trademarked for a show possibly called Tidal Wave. Apparently it's supposed to have the same kind of whatever Shockwave was supposed to be. It's now kind of transforming into whatever this Tidal Wave thing is, if this is even a thing, but they have trademarked that name. So, and of course, we all kind of wish that they would have their own streaming service, kind of like what WWE Network is, what TNA Plus is right now. I pay $10 a month for AEW Plus, if that's what they want to call it, or watch AEW to do that. But they got some choices, but it's going to be interesting to see what they need to do going forward.
Right. Yeah, no, I think the easy thing is they already have that connection with Prime, that they can move the library to Prime. But I think for me, if me being selfish, I think the best thing to do would to create your own platform, merge Honor Club with AEW content and add them both together. And even if you got to pay $19.99 a month, you get all of ROH and AEW content. You can put all of your YouTube's exclusive content onto your own personal streaming app and make basically your own version of the WWE Network. Like, the greatest part of WWE Network wasn't the fact that you got the pay-per-views for free. That was great. It was the fact that you got all of those documentaries and the other side shows that were additional content outside of the wrestling.
I would kind of disagree with that. I would say that the $9.99 part of getting the pay-per-views with that was the best part about it.
Right.
You watch WrestleMania for $9.99, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, hell yeah, sign me up. Now it was a plus that you got the massive libraries of ECW, WCW, old school, AWA, WWE, NWA, all that stuff. And I loved the network when it first came out, and it had some actual original shows like Camp WWE, Legends House, Swerve, I think was one of them. Wish we had that. We had it so good back in 2014 with the network that
I'm telling you,
we beg we have it now.
I was able, no joke, with the WWE Network, I was able to catch up on like 4 years of NXT in like a couple week span just by binge watching it. That was the best. That was when NXT was its best. Was when
Absolutely.
it was on the network, and maybe you wait, like you didn't have to watch it live. They just threw it on there, and if you missed a couple episodes, you could just binge watch it. It was great.
They were only hour shows. It was fantastic. Yeah.
So, I kind of agree with what Wavy said in that comment there. They probably need a big audience, expand the range a little bit. Peacock maybe. I wonder if Fox wants to play ball with wrestling again. They have their options. The question
It would be cool if they did something with Prime. I just don't know how that would work with the library aspect of it, since they do technically have a deal with Warner Brothers.
right.
Even though the media library stuff is going to Netflix, the whole thing is still the language of the contracts of both AEW and the Netflix thing. I just wonder what they can and can't do if they were to put their stuff on a big streaming platform like a Prime, like a
Right.
Peacock.
So as far as I'm aware, one, Netflix has an exclusivity clause with WWE, which is why AEW will not be on Netflix. But additionally, AEW essentially, the streaming part was an additional piece. The majority of their TV deal is on the Discovery side, or what would be the Discovery side with the TV networks. So they basically could get rid of the streaming deal, and then they would have to create a second deal for the simulcast, because the majority of their deal is with Discovery now. So Warner Brothers would kind of be out of that mix.
Now, along with that, when does this deal kind of kick in? Because you can still watch AEW on HBO Max. You can still have their video
Right.
library on there. When does that go away?
So and I haven't read a whole lot on it. My understanding is it would. I don't even really know, like, if Netflix is going to keep Max as like a separate app platform that, well, we own the media rights to all of it, but it's not going on Netflix, or the stuff that isn't super popular, like the super popular stuff may go to Netflix, and then I don't know how that works, but from my understanding is AEW is allowed to stay on Max through the conclusion of their streaming
Deal
contract. Yeah.
Gotcha. More breaking news: Trey McGill has won one of the Feast or Fire briefcases.
Oh, I pray to the Lord
That's about this.
that it's fired.
It's gonna be interesting. Oh man, it's pretty bad that's the most interesting thing going on right now in TNA is this Trey McGill thing.
Does AEW owner have access to any of the smaller promotions libraries? I do not think so.
I would
not
say
at this
no.
moment. They have ROH's library, obviously, but I don't think they have. I don't even think they have exclusive rights to CMLL or New Japan. I don't think they have the rights to use any of that library stuff. They have to get.
They can use obviously their stuff like for Grand Slam or Global Wars, things like that. I even think Wrestle Kingdom they do. I could be wrong on that.
Because I remember
Wrestle Dynasty, sorry, not Wrestle Kingdom.
I remember when they did the show in London last year with Bozilla and the lady from. And Bozilla was the Stardom lady,
Stephanie or something like that.
Yeah, that match with them. There were a lot of copyright claims on social media that came from New Japan, not AEW. So New Japan is very strict on who gets to use their characters' stuff.
Fair enough.
All right, moving on to the next piece. I read something last night during Dynamite that Will Ospreay was backstage at Dynamite in Orlando. And he's in the process now of working with the doctors so that he can get cleared to return to action. I don't know what rehab did this guy have? It's been 4 or 5 months since he had his surgery?
Yeah, I think he had it in either September or early October. I don't think he's pushing it. I don't think that he's not returning anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think from what the graphic that I saw was just that he was backstage to get a medical update on that
Right.
stuff from the medical team. Um, I'm sure he is rushing himself and he's trying to rehab as quickly as possible
Right.
to get back into the ring. I don't think AEW will allow him to push it like that. That's too serious of an issue.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to say that torn ACLs are not important or pectoral muscles or things like that are not important, but athletes have come back from those in 4, 5, 6 months, and it's kind of the norm now. Things like neck issues,
Mm-hmm.
concussions, obviously, and things like that. Those are more serious type of
Right.
injuries that require a lot of time to heal. Make sure you can take the bumps, this and that. I just think it was kind of just a checkup on the medical side of things. I'm sure they probably haven't seen him in a while. They probably wanted to get a good medical on him, see where he's at in his recovery, and seeing that I don't think anything's been finalized yet. Maybe
Right.
they're talking about getting the plans now, after having the medical update to see maybe when he could possibly return. But um, I don't think it's anything in the foreseeable future, though.
Yeah. Probably. I think, and if I keep this timeline correct, if I get it correct, man, I'm good. But I think we'll see him probably around April or early May come back in the ring. That'll give him I think enough time to recover and make sure that he's back in time, because obviously the push is going to be getting him back for his home show in All in August. So um I think he'll get a story put together. Obviously, if he gets the clearance, they're now going to have to find creative for him. They're not just going to throw him out without any sort of creative direction, I wouldn't think. So that might be part of it of, okay, here's where you're at. We think you need to go, XYZ amount of weeks before you can get cleared. Let's begin. This is what we're thinking about how we're going to bring you back on TV, kind of thing. But it's good to know that Will is progressing well enough that we should be
He
seeing
can travel
him.
overseas and do that.
Yeah, that we should be seeing him sometime in the foreseeable future, and it's not as dreary as like Adam Cole, where we still really haven't gotten a medical update on him. So, last piece of wrestling news before we kind of wrap up the show tonight. It's also been rumored WWE's getting a former New Japan wrestler to come over to work with the Fed, and that guy is Evil. I don't even know, like, does he fit the WWE style? I don't watch a whole lot of New Japan to know what his gimmick or his character is. To me, it seems like he would just be a worse Shinsuke Nakamura in WWE.
He's more bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Probably horrible grammar, but he's a bigger guy than Shinsuke is. Shinsuke's tall, but Evil's more of just a more filler type of guy.
Yeah.
He can surely be molded to the WWE style. We've seen other Japanese stars go to WWE and be all right. Io Sky and Asuka. Shinsuke, kinda. I think that while I'm sure WWE wants them to kind of learn more English to do some promos, that is pretty good. That's pretty good. I think that with the success of Io Sky and Julia, Kyrie saying things like that they probably aren't going to force them to learn English and do all these promos in English. Maybe a few things, but it's not a huge deal because the audience likes them anyways. Especially with Asuka and some of these other gals, they're colorful characters. They appease the audience.
Right.
I don't know how you can really colorify Evil, but I'm sure in some way WWE can mold him into being all right. He's a bigger body type of guy, so I think WWE would like him. It's just a matter of kind of molding him into their style, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious that that they're getting a guy named Evil. I wonder if they're going to change his name, uh, like they do to other guys. They'll have another JC Mateo moment, with
Simple catchphrase. WWE stands for Walk with Evil.
WWE's been evil for quite some time, my friend. All right,
Into it then.
all righty. We're going to end my piece of the show, and obviously Wavy D's throwing in some trivia questions in the chat, so we'll get to those to as we wrap up. But the last piece that I have for us, the think out of the box moment for us tonight, the ending question: if AEW decided that they needed to have an on-air authority figure, who should AEW pick to be that guy?
Somebody that's got to be a noteworthy, in my opinion. Someone that can talk good on the mic, deliver, not look like they don't belong on or shouldn't be on TV. In my perfect world, I would like to have a male and a female authority figure. Now, yes, the males could probably do everything and have just one authority figure and maybe not make it so convoluted. But at the same time, I think it'd be kind of interesting to have obviously your male authority figure and worry about the male locker room,
Yep.
and have a female authority figure and just worry about the female locker room. It would be hilarious if they did that, and the authority figures were Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. That'd be funny. That'd be kind of cool. I
That's
won't lie to
good.
you. That'd be kind of cool.
That's good.
I
Or
mean, you can get guys like Dustin, like Sting, Jeff. If you're going to put a female authority figure, maybe Madison Rain, Thunder Rosa, maybe Pat Buck, MVP, Brian Danielson, Paul White. But if I had to choose one, and it's just one, I would say Nigel McGuinness. I think that'd be fantastic.
yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Typically, your authority figure is someone who's prototypically a heel. I think what would be fun is if they threw Smart Mark Sterling as the authority figure.
You know, I looked at the roster and I looked at that and I'm like, man, that would actually be kind of cool too. That'd be fun.
Because he can use that, like he's always like everybody's legal he's like the
Counsel
legal
or
guy, the
whatever.
legal counsel for everyone. He can kind of use that to be a heel and to benefit, heelish people while punishing the baby faces. I think it would be fun. You said Jeff Jarrett and Carrot Jarrett, and the first thing that popped in my mind is, what if we did Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter?
Oh, please, no. No. See, you went too far with it. Please never.
Well, she showed up last week in TNA, and that's probably why everybody stopped watching.
That makes sense. LOL TNA, man, it's back. I'm telling you. Hey, what about if we get? Oh my God, it just left my brain because you made me think of Dixie Carter, you bastard. Oh, Shane McMahon.
Maybe Shane McMahon.
There you go.
There's been rumors for years that he's coming to AEW. Haven't seen it. I mean, good question. Let's get to Wavy D's trivia of the week. He threw your question, and apparently he has one for me and one for you. Your trivia question I'm showing on the screen now. The specific transaction, for those who listen on audio, I'll read this out. Name the specific transaction Vince McMahon made to help fund WrestleMania 1.
Oh man, I've watched the documentary, the making of WrestleMania. Oh, I feel like I should know this.
I feel
have a
like I
guess
should know
off
this
the-
too.
I have a guess off the top of my head. I just don't think it's right. Um, Actually, I have two guesses. I just don't know if the time frame matches up with either one of them. Let me have a hint. I'll throw my two guesses out, but give me a hint.
Mm.
Did it have to do with an acquisition of a wrestling company, territory? Like he bought out a territory, or not bought out, but like he made a deal
Kind
with a
of.
wrestling territory.
Kind of.
Okay, all right. So let me throw my guess. I
Okay.
have two, but I'll start with the first one. My first one that immediately popped in my head was Black Saturday, with going on TBS and being in the time slot of Georgia Championship Wrestling.
I don't think so. Let me see
Okay.
if I can pull it up while he's saying. So what I mean's kind of to that. If I say what I was going to say, it might give you the answer. I don't think that's what it was. Let's see.
Quick
Wait.
side note: what if Trey Miguel came out and like cashed in that Feast or Finals for the world title, and we got another world title change 2 weeks in a row?
Well, we'll still remember Dolph Ziggler. I'm sorry, Nick Nemeth has his portion.
Interesting.
Of the tiebreaker that they had for the call your shot.
So Trey Miguel cashes in, wins a world title, and then Nick Nemeth cashes his thing, and he wins a world.
All right, Wavy, put
Let's
the
stop.
answer in. Do you want to get it? What you said is not correct.
Okay. No, I'm not on YouTube. I'm not seeing it. So it has to do with something of a territory.
Not specifically another territory, but it has something to do with he wagered something wrestling related.
So he made a bet, and he won money or something.
Essentially, kind of. It's kind of, if I gave you the answer, it would give away the actual answer.
My next thing was gonna be Rocky 3. The funds from Rocky 3 helped fund that, but I suppose that's not it. Oh man. Damn. I'm really gonna hurt myself because I feel like I know this and it's just not coming to my head. Can you give me any hint without really giving it away? Besides it has something to do with it, like I don't know.
So
He made a bet with a figurehead, with a wrestling person.
Not a bet, but a financial move in order to finance producing the show.
It has something to do with Titan.
His not Titan in general, but Vince's dad.
Vince sold him the company, and he basically used those funds to help fund WrestleMania.
You're getting there. You're warmer.
Damn.
I can show the answer if you want.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not going to get much closer than that.
So Vince sold stock in the company to his dad for $1 million, and then used that $1 million. All
right.
To fund.
I feel like I knew that. It's just it was buried back there and did not want to come out. I'll say you got me on that one because I couldn't get the answer. So that's a good one. That was a good one.
All right, Wavy, you said I'm waiting for it. Wavy, you said you got one for me. Throw it in the chat, my friend. That
was a good one. You got me on that one.
That's a good one.
Well, it must be a long one.
All right.
Oh God.
My question: who is the Undertaker's storyline half brother?
The level of question of difficulty.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna go with the. Okay. What's it?
Oh man.
that one is the mayor of Knox County,
Dr. Isaac Yankum.
Kane. He says he got a hard one for me now too, which is
I mean,
what
he
is
better,
it
'cause-
called when a wrestler messes up a move in the ring?
Damn, dude. He wants to get your baseline of, do you really know the
Do you
bottom
know
of the barrel?
that's a
Or
botch?
how hard do we go up hit the ladder here? I get the stuff from like
Yeah.
that stuff, and
It's
you
like-
get who's up.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey,
That's
we got
funny.
a new face in town. Trey Miguel got a. Hey, we broke that news 20 minutes ago.
We are the source of breaking news. You come here for the Impact breaking news. That's 2 weeks in a row, kind of, that we've broke breaking news. We had Sonya Deville last week showed up, and we broke that news, and then we broke
And Elena
Trey
Black.
Miguel.
Yep.
We're 2 for 2 on breaking news for Impact, so we appreciate them for giving us more content to talk about.
Hey, Impact, let us live stream.
No, else I do that. We'll fall
Well-
asleep halfway through the show.
We'll add 5 viewers to your show.
Hey, hey now,
All right.
like and subscribe.
That's right. That's right. Stop taking my shit.
Sorry.
That's right. As he said, make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Where it's all laughs here on the live stream. It's not. We try not to take it too seriously here. Hit that thumbs up. Put subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. If you're listening to the audio form of this podcast, follow or like or subscribe. I don't know. They use different language on all the audio formats. So make sure you like or whatever it is, or follow or whatever. That way you're notified whenever we post the audio. For those who don't know, live stream goes on Thursday. I typically post the audio format Saturday morning. It might be out a little bit later, depending on if I have power or not. This week, so we'll make sure to get it out as quickly as possible for the audio listeners there. Thank you to all of our affiliate partners. I'm trying to get all of my stuff out before we send it over for everybody's favorite segment. I think that's about all I got. Scan that QR code in the top left of the screen. Join our Discord community. Let's build a community of wrestling fans that are raw, real, relevant, and anyways, let's close the show tonight with the final words from our favorite co-host of the show, Cody Marinere.
Well, if you're Buffalo Bills fans, you probably got extra saucy this week. You may need to get extra saucy for the next couple of weeks to deal with what you guys are dealing with, and we apologize, some of us. Hey, good news. The Commanders are getting overhauled on uniforms this year, so that's exciting news. We're no longer having that ugly ass burgundy and whatever the hell we had, and the ugly ass whites, and the blacks were all right, but that's not us. Here's hoping to a spear logo, huh? That'd be great. Instead of the taco holder, W. Or hey, that would be nice for a logo. This right here. Anyways, just saying. We ain't got to use the name. I'm fine with that. Just give me the damn logo back. Anyways, we kind of got a little bit of this tonight, and I usually partake in this event quite a bit over the weekend, especially on the weekend. This weekend especially, man. Listen, if you were anywhere in the South or the Southeast, hell, the Northeast, this damn thing is going from Texas to New England and just about everywhere in between. So I think the worst of it for most of us is going to be Saturday, Sunday. So what that means is either Saturday morning or Friday night, depending on how you want to go about it. I need y'all to go out to like your local hardware store. Go get a bucket, big ass bucket. You may actually need to go to an actual store and get a metal tin, metal big thing you put on the stove. Because what you're gonna do, you're gonna throw all your ingredients in there, and you're gonna make your biggest pot of sauce. Because you're gonna need it for this weekend. Especially if you lose power, you're gonna have enough food for 3 weeks just by making that big old pot of sauce. I'm telling you. And you can make plenty of meals with it too. It's just a matter of how you warm up your other stuff. If you got a grill, perfect. If you don't and you have nothing else, sorry. Just put the warm sauce over like the pasta. The pasta may be uncooked, but if you use the sauce, it'll warm it up and maybe it'll make it a little bit chewy. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of shit here. Anyways, basically, what you're gonna do is make your biggest pot of sauce, and you're gonna eat the shit out of it because it's gonna be freezing, it's gonna be cold, it's gonna be icy, it's gonna be snowy. But what you got to do is, no matter through it all, you have to stay saucy, friends. So stay saucy.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all next week on the live stream. If we have power, there might be a Saturday episode, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. I'll let you know on the social media. Make sure you follow all of our social medias. Links are in the description box, or should be in the description box for all of those. Until next week, we'll see ya. This has been an episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. We'll see you next week.
This is wrestling without the filter.